have an esteemed Sugarloafer with us on this Friday night. This guy was calling himself a skier at Sugarloaf before anybody was calling Sugarloaf a ski area, and I think that's really awesome. Very pleased to introduce everybody to John Chapman. Hey John, thanks for coming in tonight.
Well, it's nice to be here, Nadine. And
we asked you in because on April 6th, you and Amanda Murray kicked off a few years ago a gathering of the Sugarloaf
50 gang.
Yeah. If you could tell everybody what that's all about for starters.
Well, I'd like to make a little commercial here, actually, because we have 100 people who skied here at Sugarloaf for 50 years, which is good, but I'm sure that we've missed some. So if there is anyone out there who has been skiing here for 50 years, if they would call Cindy Foster, her telephone number is 237-3711. She'll get you on the list, and we look forward to seeing you this year.
So there's the invitation, an open invitation for anybody who's been skiing here 50 years and over.
Yeah.
How many other places you think have that many seniors skiing like that? You think there's any other resorts in the east that have that kind of loyalty?
Well, there aren't many resorts that have been going that long, you know.
Right.
I was in Aspen in '48, and Pete Seibert was on the ski patrol then, and he decided to start Vail. He looked around for the best mountain around, and started Vail. So Vail wasn't even here back in the 50s,
right.
and so many places are that way.
Right.
There aren't that many places as old as Sugarloaf. Yeah.
Right. That's one way to eliminate the competition a little bit.
Yeah, right.
Campbell Field was where you built your first place up here. You and several others, like the original board of directors.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There was a Campbell Field was a potato field run by Mr. Campbell, and by the time we got here, it was an alder swamp. But it had the road had a sharp curve there, which they cut off, and it was the only place around where you could get off the road. So it was natural that people would build camps there, and you know, King Cummings was there, and Bunny Bass, and 3 or 4 of the directors, and so forth. And when we first started, it was when Campbell Field first started, it was pretty crude. There was no electricity. No one had running water, of course. But everybody had a good time. And
so the actual road used to be the Route 27.
Right.
Campbell Field Road was Route 27. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Not a very wide road back in those days, was it?
No, and of course it was gravel.
Right. Oh my.
All the way from North New Portland, I believe, when we started coming over here, yeah.
And yet there were still logging trucks coming and going on it.
Oh yeah.
Even back then.
Oh sure.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Now, what are some of your earliest memories of coming up here? How did that all eventuate?
Well, my father was on the Maine Ski Council, and they were looking around for the best place in Maine to start a resort. And Amos was a great politician, and was pushing Sugarloaf. Actually, I met Amos and Stub Taylor and some of the high school kids that Amos used to take around with him skiing over at Bingham Notch, what they called tea time. And Amos there, and he got talking with us, and of course we were from Maine and Bangor, and we didn't know Amos, but he was telling us about a place in Maine where you could ski in June. We thought he was smoking funny stuff. You know? Sure enough, next year we were here, and in those at that time, they skied on Bigelow because it was closer to the road, and then they flooded the river, I mean the lake, the river which became a lake.
Right.
And so...
That was in the 50s. Late 40s they started flooding it?
Yeah. In fact, I had a fraternity brother who lived in the town of Flagstaff. Mm-hmm. And he could go down the lake and look down and see where his house was.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah. So then when we started, there were no facilities here. We stayed at Deer Farm camps in Kingfield, about the only place you could, but it was great. And, Amanda Winter's father was the proprietor, and her mother was the cook, and they had log cabins there, and so we stayed there and came up to the mountain, and there was no place to park, so we had to shovel a hole in the snowbank for our automobile so the lumber trucks could get by. And then we'd just start walking up through the woods because there wasn't even a marked trail. You just kind of walk uphill until you came to an open space, and then that's where you'd ski.
Were you walking with snowshoes on your feet or just tramping in boots?
Oh my goodness, you are just a kid, aren't you?
I guess so.
Yeah. No, we
Oh, did you have your skins on?
skins, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Everything was done with skins
Okay.
then, yeah. And
Wow.
and we'd take off our skins, but Sugarloaf at that time was really bare on top because they'd had a forest fire go through in the 30s and had burned the whole top of the mountain. And people used to talk about it, the top of Sugarloaf being above the timberline, but it really wasn't. It'd just been burned off with a forest fire, and we skied across a whole bunch of trees that 10 or 12 feet high now. We just ski in that area, and then walk back down through the woods again when the day was over. So we looked at skiing differently then. It was kind of an outdoor camping trip and so forth, and climbing was a good part of of course the major part of the day. Yeah. You'd climb all day for 3 or 4 minutes of skiing.
Right.
So it was not just get on a toe and go at all.
You must have had a hearty appetite by the end of the day, I bet.
Well, being 22, I had a hearty appetite.
No matter what,
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, you were saying before it was about Ram Down area where there was a natural place that you could ski down. You didn't have to do any brush cutting or anything like that?
No. People hadn't skied there until that year or maybe the previous year, 47, 48, yeah. So, no, there was no improvements done at all.
And at what point did that come into the program?
Well, as soon as we started skiing up there, getting back to the Maine Ski Council,
right.
They decided that Sugarloaf was going to be the resort area for the state. That they were going to try to have a place that was going to attract people from all over, and they had been successful, of course, but of course they had to get in here, and then it was 2 miles for the road, they formed the Sugarloaf Ski Club, which sponsored the road, really, got it built, and actually my father was the first president of the ski club, and the ski club really started Sugarloaf in a way, and they built the road in for $10,000, and
how did they raise those funds?
well, they sold stock, I believe.
The state wouldn't have given them any money, not those days.
No. It wasn't contributions. Yeah, I think they had 1,000 shares of stock at $10, and people subscribed, and of course my father subscribed to every ski lift in the state, and that was one of them. In fact, I inherited the stock later on. It's one of the few people in the world who made money in Sugarloaf stock. Not that a lot of people didn't buy it, but I sold mine before the place went broke.
You could be the only person, John, that I've ever met that said that. How about that?
Yeah,
good for you.
Of course, the ski club had 1,000 shares at $10 a share, and by this time I'd become a stockbroker, and it looked bad to me what they were doing. So I went to the ski club and said, you know, you really ought to. By this time, the stock had split 10 for 1, and the shares that they paid $10 for were worth 50, 60. And I said, you know, you really ought to sell at least part of your portfolio. And no, they were very loyal, and they went right down with the ship. Never got a penny out of it. You know, they could have had $50,000, $60,000 as a nest egg. It's too bad, but
live and learn, huh?
Yeah.
Or maybe not learn.